Couple of hidden motorbikes there. Couple of motorbikes reversed up. You can't see the registration. You can see one of them's got a box on the back just from the outline of it. I wonder if they would be the motorbikes that constantly come past where I live at all hours. I wonder. We're not in Brighton, by the way. We're not in Brighton. It's just it's just a nice picture of a police dog on it. That's all that's there for. It's the very favourite of theirs. There's pictures of, or real police dogs. House stations, they use that quite a lot. Not only do they use that in my targeting those kind of dogs, they'll have them go past me all the time, or there'll be people. The last place that I lived, I think I said it was like a kind of supported living type place, and one of the support workers, gang stalker that worked there, her name was, what was her name? Her first name was Alex McCulloch, I think. McCulloch, which is the same surname as a guy that I used to work with, who got jailed for trafficking drugs. He was an HGV driver as well, and he got jailed for trafficking drugs up and down the place. But he was a gang stalker as well. So yeah, her name, same surname as him, Alex McCulloch. It's funny because the other one was called Sam Perrin. So if you put their names together, you get either spam or you get maps. It's quite funny. I find it, or amps, or PS, MA. Or you get lots of things, but yeah. I remember going in the office and speaking to the other one, the Sam one, and this Alex had a picture. She'd left a photograph. People don't have photographs. You know that people don't have photographs nowadays. Printed out actual physical photographs. But she made sure that I was in the office to have this meeting with this Sam. So Alex made sure she had a printed out photograph on the desk of an Alsatian or German Shepherd, whatever you want to call them. And as part of my targeting, the social work got involved with me because an ex of mine decided that I needed a welfare check at one point. This is pre-arranged, this is pre-arranged acting on all of their behalfs, but he decided that I needed a welfare check, and then the social work decided, this is before I got cuckooed out my house, so the social work turned up and they put a letter through my door, hand-delivered letter through my door, obviously to make sure it got to me, because my mail was being stolen and had been being stolen for years and years at that point. So they hand-delivered this letter telling me to contact social work, and I thought, what the fuck, it's a bit strange and adult to contact social work. And social work were very, very nice and said, we believe you may be struggling, so we'll put you in touch with this charity, and they're called SAMH, SAMH, and they're a mental health charity in Scotland. So this social worker, gang stalker, you can fill that in constantly from the people that I talk about. So this social worker put me in touch with this. He got this SAMH charity to phone me up and arrange a phone interview. This was the kind of tail end of COVID, but they were still very much using COVID as their favourite excuse for not meeting in person. So very much using it to their advantage for people that they were targeting, such as myself, that everything was done over the phone, and of course all your phone calls and then everything subsequently are being recorded, so you know, and you don't know who you're speaking to, obviously. So anyway, this someone from this Sam H phoned me, and while this phone call was taking place, there was a helicopter, a police helicopter hovering above my house. I actually mentioned it to her on the phone. Now, I think I've stated before that I'm not particularly paranoid. I never was. I didn't have smoked a bit of weed in my time. Not that that makes you paranoid, you know. That's the media version of what weed will do to you. But yeah, not a crazy amount, you know. I kind of went on and off of using it. Not that it matters, but I'm just saying, you know, like people like to insinuate that I've got some kind of drug-induced psychosis or paranoia, but you know, we all know that's just a helpful little narrative that they use. If you've ever picked up a joint, you know, so much as taking a draw of a joint, then it's weed-induced paranoia. That's not, you know. But anyway, while I was on the phone call to this woman from this supposedly Sam H charity, a police helicopter was hovering over my house, and I said to her on the phone, it's really strange, you know, really strange. I pointed it out on the phone. You know, it's really strange. Police are hovering over my home as I speak to you. And I mean directly over my house. I was watching them out the window. And she kind of dismissed it, you know, as you do, because she was probably a police officer that I was speaking to and not someone from a kind of made-up charity in Scotland. I don't think they're a made-up charity, but she was a police officer or a social worker that's involved in gang stalking and targeting people. So anyway, to try and cut a long story short, they put me in touch with what they call a peer support worker, and said, you know, you speak to someone, and you know, it's someone who's maybe been in your position as well, and you know, just a normal person. These are volunteers. And that person that I was speaking to, then she would phone me every so often. Her name was Tara Maguire. I've done a post about her. You can look her up if you go back through my posts. She's working for a charity, a food bank charity in Glasgow. You can see her. She's the blonde one in that. So this Tara Maguire would speak to me on the phone, I don't know, once a week or something, just to try and build up a relationship with me. It's part of the targeting as well. And eventually this Tara said that, Tara Gladys Maguire, her name is, eventually this Tara gave me this sob story on the phone one day, saying that she was getting thrown out of her house. Her landlord was selling her house, and she had nowhere to live, and me being me, I had a 4-bedroom house, and it was just me on my own at that point. And I said, oh, you know, I've got spare rooms, why don't you come here? Because, you know, I'm a naive idiot, that's why. And I was very, very trusting and took everyone at their word. So she did. She came and moved into my home, her and one of her little dogs. And then she just started, you know, I woke up one night and she was leaning over me with my phone in her hand. She'd come into my bedroom while I was sleeping, and then she made up I woke up and kind of looked at her, and she made up some story about how it sounded like I'd stopped breathing in my sleep. I don't know why that means that she would have to have my phone in her hand, but it was just an excuse for her to be in the property and to be filming me the whole time, going through my things, stealing things off me. And of course she ended up being one of the people that was involved in the cuckoo, and that she was going to be living in my home, you know. Yeah, but anyway, a little bit after this happened, a little bit after I told her to leave, I'd had enough of her. I was coming back home from work, and I would walk into my house and she had my heating turned up, you know, full blast. She hadn't gave me any money or anything to stay there. She was just totally taking the piss, you know, staying in bed all day. And then she had her child there who she had shared custody of. She had, you know, minimal custody of this child. The father had full custody, but it was the holidays and the child was there. And I walked into my heating up full blast, and her child by himself in the living room, playing his games console on my telly, while this lazy, smelly cunt is in bed at, you know, 2 or 3 in the afternoon. But she was just taking the piss. I came to find out that she's a neighbour of the house that I backed on. She's a relative of the house that I backed onto. So she was involved in this all along. It was just a skit by these people to get her into my home, you know. They were breaking into my home anyway the whole time that I'd lived there, but this was just to have someone on the inside and to get me, you know, friendly with someone, to have me trusting this person. But anyway, after I told her to get to fuck, a little bit later I was lonely, you know, so I decided to get a dog, and they put this is where the story kind of stops making sense. Even as I'm speaking, I'm trying to figure out a way to try and make it make sense, but I was searching for dogs, you know, online, and of course I'd spoke to someone I was close to on the phone and told them the maximum amount that I was willing to pay, and of course this dog came up just with that exact figure that I'd said I was going to pay. It's funny that, isn't it? It turns out anyway I ended up getting this dog, but the dog was actually another setup again, and it belonged to a police officer. His name is Sergeant David McMillan, and he's a police officer that works out of Cumbernauld, a town in Scotland. And the dog that they set me up to get was this German Shepherd that belonged to him. Again, just to tie me down and have me in charge of this dog, you know. It's funny when I kind of look back over this and I can work out. I ended up just taking the dog back to the police station eventually and giving it in, and then you know, when I'd done a Freedom of Information Act request asking about animals that had been surrendered to the police station, around about that time, you know, in a 6-month period, including the time that I took the dog to the police station, they ignored my request, obviously, you know, just as they've obviously ignored all of my Freedom of Information Act requests, because the police, you know, the Sergeant McMillan plus other police officers are fully involved in my targeting and setting me up with this dog. So yeah, that's why they like to put German Shepherds, Alsatians around me. You know, it's the whole police dog thing. But yeah, I thought I'd just tell you that little story about Tara Maguire, about David McMillan and others. The neighbour that lived at the back of me, his name was Derek Gourlay, Gourlay. He was breaking in, him and his little gang of thugs were breaking into my house every day when I left for work. They were going in the back door, jumping over my back wall. We lived in my house backed onto his, so they were jumping over my back wall and going into my house, and the postman in that area was handing all of my mail to his address. Were relatives of this Tara, but I didn't know any of this at the time, you know. I was just dumb. I was just living my life, and these people were ripping me off and how to get something, you know, like credit cards and loans and etc. in my name that I'm slowly starting to find out about now. But